All right. So, hello and welcome back to another edition of the American Scouser podcast. I'm Hilary, and I'll be the host tonight, leading the discussion with our contributors, Gordon and Dave. How's everyone doing?
All good here.
Yep, doing well, thanks.
Excited to get this season started, right? It's kind of been just a waiting game all summer, pretty much.
To be fair, it felt like I waited longer for the Champions League final. It feels like it's just right upon us. But no, man, I can't wait to get started again. Just being, you don't know what to do with your weekends, do you? You get up and you're like,
yeah,
okay,
Right.
There's no football. What's going on? So yeah, I'm so excited to get started.
Yeah, it was actually productive in the mornings.
Yeah. Well, to me, like, it felt like a little bit of a less than stellar preseason, but it felt like we finally kind of got back some of that heavy metal magic in the second half of the game from the weekend. So, I thought maybe we could open by talking about the game. I feel like, the second half seemed to be something special, kind of getting back into what we're used to seeing. So I just want to ask both of you, what was your one big takeaway from the game on Sunday? Dave, I'll start with you.
To be honest, the first half, it looked like City had been in season, hadn't went anywhere. They just playing the same way they were playing last season. I thought they were brilliant. I thought Liverpool were poor at the same time. But as you say, the second half, the big takeaway, I think, is that is going to be a big talking point is probably Trent. Which kind of upsets me really because I thought when Joe Gomez went right back, I thought he was excellent. For them 30 minutes he was full back. So he's definitely give Jurgen something to think about. It was a weird game. I wanted to win the game, of course. I'd want Liverpool to win a coin toss. Doesn't matter. It's just, but I wasn't disappointed because I know for a fact that if you're Pep Guardiola, you're going to be sitting there probably on the coach home or on the plane home thinking, I've got away with one there. You know, Liverpool were the best side and I kind of got to get away with one. So
he totally was like City won by 1 in the shootout, just like we won by 1 point for the title. He said that in his post game. So I mean, we're still in his head totally, completely.
I've never seen him like this. You know, I know he's been. You know, everyone knows he's a top manager. He's a phenomenal manager, but he doesn't. I don't think he likes that Liverpool get more airtime in effect than his team. His team, he feels like you don't get the plaudits. Well, the reason why you don't get the plaudits because I think you spent 200 million on fullbacks since you've been there. That's the reason why you don't get the plaudits. We're playing against, the most expensive football side ever assembled, with probably the best manager of the last, apart from maybe Alex Ferguson, probably the best manager in the last 40 years. It's not. This is why you don't get the plaudits. You're expected to win every single game and every single trophy. When Liverpool, the way Liverpool are doing things and the way we've gone about our business, and let's not forget it, the Champions League is the biggest trophy any club side can win. That's why we're getting the plaudits. But I think we are banging his head. I think he's sitting there literally after that game, 2 a.m, probably calling Mikel Arteta going, what the fuck are we going to do? Because these lads are way ahead of us. I think, and the other plus that we can kind of take out, which sounds disappointing, but that De Bruyne and Leroy Sané go off injured. It is a bonus. It is a bonus. I know that sounds really harsh, but City don't drop many points. So as soon as they can lose players that can help them not win football matches, I'm fine with it, to be honest.
Yeah. Gordon, what about you?
Yeah, those are pretty much my statements exactly. Other than the final result, it felt like a win. We pretty much washed City away in that second half. They rarely touched the ball. I think we had maybe one scare in that second where they made a run through the middle. But yeah, Trent was a little worrying. He kept getting caught with those diagonal balls. You could definitely see that Pep had done his homework against us. We play a really, really good and very tight offside trap coming straight from Virgil van Dijk's command of that back line. And so the only way around it is really those deep cross field diagonal balls over the back line, and it seemed like it was really catching Trent off. So we'll have to see for that, because I did feel like we were much better with Gomez over there. But with saying that, I mean, maybe that's our right back. I mean, one of the places that I felt that we needed a backup was the right back position. So I mean, maybe that game answered the question there for us. We don't need that position anymore. Although I would like to have at least 3 center backs. I know Fabinho can drop in and play his hand back there from time to time, but I think he's much stronger as a center defending mid. But I mean, apart from, I mean, I feel like you put Mo in there, or Firmino and Salah get a couple more games under their belt. I mean, I really think we could have beat them 4-0. I don't think it. I mean, we played them off the pitch in the second half.
I think it's a very good point, actually. It felt like to me only Salah and Firmino looked like they actually wanted to win the game in the first half. You know, I thought Salah was back to his so sharp. Where last season he kind of had a slow start. Like, it felt like he was just back to his normal 40 goal season best. I think that's a massive plus, and it probably makes a big difference when Salah and Firmino probably are the 2 best players, and they both played football this summer. So they probably are a bit more fitter than the other players.
Yeah, Mo had 59% of the shots on goal, 10 out of 17, and City had 8 total. So I feel like he is like totally hungry for goals again, and you could just see it. Do you think that not having Sadio Mane there with the 3 of them up front kind of affected the dynamic of what was going on to break through? Do you think Origi was successful in place of Sadio? I'll throw that to you, Dave, since you're such a big fan of Origi.
Origi can do no wrong, but to be fair, I thought he's a peculiar man, isn't he? Like, for the guy who's so quick and so strong, he doesn't have to make himself look weak. Sometimes on the ball. Sometimes when he picks up the ball, he looks a bit lazy and a bit lackadaisical, and you think, just use your pace and burst past the man. You know, give a go. I know Kyle Walker's quick, but, you know, have a go on him. Give him something to think about. I thought he done okay. I think, you know, he done fine. But I also think that it's very harsh, because I think Sadio's probably one of our most important player outside Virgil. I think he sets the trap so well. He helps Robbo a lot. He sets the counter attack. He sets everything. He sets the pace for counter pressing from the front and all this. So I think Sadio, he's a massive miss. Literally, I think if you said to Jürgen, out the front 3, which one can't you replace? He would probably say Sadio, because he's so unique as a player. So yeah, of course he was missed. It's very difficult for Divock, because I don't think he likes it down that left wing. I like him down the wing because, as I say, his pace sometimes can cause a lot of problems. But I think he prefers to see himself maybe as a number 9 in the Bobby role. But he knows what he was getting into when he signed the new contract, that he's going to be in another team. I thought he'd done okay. But yeah, the Sadio, I think even if we had Sadio yesterday, we probably would have won the game, to be honest.
Really? Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel that way too. Although my big takeaway was that we can survive and play really well without James Milner, but I really don't want to. I think that I really would have preferred to have him start, or at least be a sub. We definitely missed him during penalties. How do you think the midfield did during that game, Gordon? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I was actually really surprised. There was one of the points that I had written down here was that Henderson had such a good preseason. A few of the games, he was definitely man of the match for me. Completely commanded the midfield. He looked like somebody that was ready to win a couple more titles this year. Really promising, but he sort of faded away in that game. I can't really recall anything that stood out to me where he bossed the midfield, made a big tackle, put a statement in there, any really decent shots, anything like that. He kind of was just a shadow of himself from what I've seen in the last couple of preseason games. So that was definitely surprising for me. And when he's not clicking, the rest of that team can't get clicking. I think Fabinho did well. I mean, really, they were avoiding the middle as much as possible. They were keeping it wide and then switching play across the field. So maybe that's why it kind of stunted the middle three. But I don't know. I just maybe the game got to him, or the pressure, or I mean, maybe he was just overrunning that middle and couldn't find his feet early enough in the game. And I know that he's a player that wears his emotions on his sleeve, and if he's not doing well in the first couple of minutes, sometimes it seems to affect him for the rest of the game. So I wasn't 100% happy with the midfield, but it could have definitely been a lot worse. And they were really pivotal in that second half and controlling the ball and keeping that high press nice and tight.
Yeah.
Did you?
Go on, Hill.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I kind of agree. My thing was, I think Henderson's best thing that he did was when he squared up to Guardiola. That was the best thing he did all game.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. He went over and screamed at him and had to be like pulled away. That was amazing.
I was in the bar. I mean, one of the lads went, "What do you think he said?" I think he went over to play up and went, "What are those pants you've got on? They're awful, mate. Got about 15 pockets on your trousers. Dreadful." But I thought the midfield was poor, to be honest. I thought Gini was dreadful. Like, I don't want to dig him out because you say it's your first game back and things, but I did think he was dreadful all game. I thought he was non-existent, and the penalty miss just kind of summed him up, really. Summed his night up. I think the big positive that we can take out of the substitutions, especially, was Lallana. I thought Lallana was excellent. I thought he was everywhere when he came on. I thought he had a lovely touch. Looked like he wants to get on the ball. I thought Chamberlain done well. I thought Keita was good as well. I thought Lallana really stood out. And that also gives, of course, an extra option. He's a very, let's say, dynamic character where people have very mixed opinions on Lallana. But I don't know, if he keeps performing like that, coming off the bench for 20, 30 minutes in games, then we've got a good asset on our hands.
Yeah, definitely. I think I would have to agree. Like, I am probably one of the biggest fans of Gini Wijnaldum. I called him MVP last February. I still stand by that. Next to Virgil van Dijk, I felt like he was one of our most instrumental players last season. Probably just up there with Virgil and Alisson, to me, as like someone we could not have done without. But yeah, he was a ghost for that entire game to me. And then like you said, that pen. I mean, we'll never know what would have happened if James Milner had been in there for that instead. But yeah, so I think that he goes down as probably someone who had put in to me the worst performance in that game. Totally out of character for him. Yeah. But who would you say was man of the match?
Salah, probably. He was excellent. He really was. And it's hard for me to give a sub one, but I say Salah. But I say it's a special shout out for Gomez at right back and Lallana. I thought Lallana was excellent, but I will go Salah. I think he's back to his best. If I was Norwich watching that game, I'd be thinking, "Oh, fucking, I don't want to do this on a Friday night, first game back, and I don't want to fucking go and mark him." If you're the left back, you'd be sitting and thinking, "I don't want this." So, yeah, I'd go Salah.
Gordon?
Yeah, I'd have to agree. One of the moves that he made, coming in off the right across, he pretty much followed the 18-yard box, took two guys on with his back to goal, somehow spun around, did a 180, and went near post, and rattled the post. And that was one of the best moves all game. He definitely looked in mid-season form. And that was something that we saw him do time and time again 2 years ago. And it was that I just got the feeling it's going to be one of those seasons where everything he touches goes in. And the more that guy scores, the more creative he gets and the more interesting shots he takes. I mean, 2 years ago, he had a header, like a backwards header that just went over. And those are the type of goals that you score when you're in form. You don't even try that when you're in a drought, and you only make those when you've made everything else. And I just extremely positive, and it bodes well for us, and I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, I think that Salah was the man of the match, and honestly, if Klopp had any say in where they put the goals, or where they set the goals up at Wembley, if he just had moved them a couple inches over to the right, he would have had a hat trick. So, I mean, definitely very positive.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, yeah, I was just going to say, another thing on Salah as well, you forget that 2 years ago he scored 44 goals. It's like, last season we won the European Cup. I think he scored like 28 or something. So, he probably backs himself to get to the 40 mark again, which only spells well for Liverpool. I think the competition between the front three I think the competition with Sadio and himself especially is definitely rife. So, looks like he's come back with a bit of a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, definitely. I have to agree with like everything that was said. He was my man of the match too. I think an honorable mention goes to Bobby because he had some really good fire, especially in the first half. Like you mentioned earlier, he was one of the better looking players to me while he was on the field.
Imagine that volley winning in the first half when he brought the ball down from 40 foot high, and it's a half volley on the turn. If that would have went in, I think I'd still be in the pub now. I would never seen a goal like it. It would have been unbelievable.
Yeah, Velcro on his shoes for that one.
Oh, unbelievable.
But yeah, his link-up play is extremely pivotal to linking up the wings, and you saw it again in the game, and that only bodes well. Once we get Mane back there, I think that we're going to be a formidable force yet again, and definitely I think that we did enough to scare the crap out of Pep because he stole one there.
So, kind of going into the start of the season, after what you saw from this game, who do you pair with Virgil van Dijk?
Probably goal Matip, to be honest. And I'd play Gomez right back. I feel very harsh on Trent because he's only had a bad 60, really. Gomez was so short there. He really was. And I think Jurgen's got it said really lightly because if you leave Trent out for an extended period of time, it could really damage him. He's only a young lad. It can really damage him. So I would start the season with Matip. I think we go 3 or 4 games, then there's an international break. So then see where we are after the international break. But I'll probably start the season with Matip, then Gomez right back.
Yeah, Matip looked comfortable on the ball. He looked like the preseason had done him well. Obviously had the confidence to get in there and score the goal for us. I like Gomez at center back just because that's the way we started last year and it was so positive and when he went out it was visible that we were struggling to find that center connection with him. But I think you go with what worked in the beginning and you let everybody else you let things sort themselves out in training. And as the games wear on, you sort of get a better understanding of where everybody's fitness levels are and where everyone's heads are at. But I definitely think you start where it was most positive in that first game. And for me, it was Gomez on the right and Matip in the center. So that's the way that I would start the back line.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that, if Trent can kind of reclaim his spot and if Gomez gets to where we saw him before he was injured in December, then I think that totally like shuffles things around a lot. But definitely, I choose Virgil and Matip for my pairing, hands down.
I think you might look at Trent going a bit further forward as well. To be honest, it might be something that he looks at. He goes back and push him on further forward. If he wants to go and play like a 4-2-3-1 and play him on the right side, Salah down the middle, it gives him different options as well. So I think you might, it is something that has been spoke about privately with the club, I believe, that they want to push Trent further forward. So, it could be definitely something that they all look at as well, with Gomez right back and then Trent right wing or something.
There might actually be something to that, because that's, honestly, I felt like Alberto Moreno, he was probably a much better winger. I don't know why they never even tried him out as that. He was god-awful coming back and defending, and he was getting caught out the same way that Trent was getting caught out on Sunday. So there might actually be something to that. It definitely he's an extreme threat on the wing, going forward, putting those crosses in. So that's interesting. I never thought about that, but I'd give it a go.
I think in certain games at home, so for example, like you look at Norwich at home, if it wasn't for the first game of the season, say you're playing Norwich in December or January, let's be honest, Liverpool should beat Norwich. I should play centre mid and we can beat Norwich. And, that's when you can experiment with these things. That's when you can get your midfield, for example, could be Keita as a number 6 with Shaqiri and Chamberlain. You can rest your Salah and then put Trent as a right wing forward or Shaqiri as a right wing forward and then put Trent as centre mid. These are the kind of games. I know it's the first game of the season, so we probably won't take any chances. But it's the kind of game where you can experiment a little bit and try little new things. At least what we're working on. I think we forget that Trent's only so young, and he does see himself as a midfielder. He was a centre midfielder. People forget that also at the youth level. He's like a centre midfielder. So, when he looks stronger already, he looks like a bigger boy from when he first get him in. Like his man strength is coming through. So it looks like something that he could definitely look at. I can see it in certain games. I can see him definitely as an option because I also think he'll want him as a set piece option. I think he's probably our best free kick taker and probably our best corner taker. So apart from Shaqiri, maybe when he's on the field, but I think he'll probably want to try and find a little space for him. As I say, and I think them kind of games at home, Norwich, Sheffield United, and things, maybe even the League Cup third round, you could probably see him a bit further forward.
That's definitely something to think about, and I think, I would hope to see that because I really would like to see him be able to not have to worry about coming back the way that he does. I mean, he should be on the field the way that he links up and stuff, and with all those assists, it's just a shame to not have him there. But yeah. So I wanted to kind of get into if we're finished talking about the game, if any of y'all had some final thoughts, or we can move on to talk about the rule changes and the introduction of VAR. So if you have any final thoughts.
Yeah, Pep Guardiola should never wear them pants ever again. What was he doing? But look like he just come out the jungle or something. But listen, as I say, played well. Take the positives. Salah great. Firmino great. Move on. Means nothing. But yeah, move on.
All right. Well, with bringing up Pep, he was the first manager to receive a yellow, and that's one of the rule changes. Now managers can get a yellow, a second yellow, they can get a straight red, and the punishments are the same as what players get. So theoretically, they're out for 1 game or they're out for 3 games. We can have our thoughts on that, but I also want to ask your predictions of who do you think the first Premier League manager will be that gets 2 yellows or a straight red this season?
Go on, Gord. I'll let you take that one.
Because this actually it affects the from what I was listening to during the game, they brought it up, but if the ref can't tell which one of the sideline staff was mouthing off, the yellows or the reds would go to the manager as well. So you got to think who's got the roughest bunch behind him and the most maybe the most Italian, because a lot of those Italian guys will stand up and come to the sideline. So I don't know. I maybe City. I think would probably be who would get the most right off the bat. Too bad Cardup's not in it anymore. I definitely would have said that Neil Warnock would have been sent off in the first game.
Oh, fucking hell.
I don't know. I feel like Sean Dyche deserves an honorable mention. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely, man. You know what? It's funny, when you think about it. I'm trying to think of the assistants, and I think Brendan's got Colo Torre. I just can't see Colo ever getting booked. He's too nice. I can't really. I don't know. The one that screams to me is Roy Hodgson. And I don't know why. I just got a feeling like he's just he blames everyone but his own team and how much of an average manager he is. Roy loves a 1-0 defeat when his team has 4 shots on target and he'll constantly go out really unlucky today. He loves all that. So I can just see him doing that. And you know what I mean? So I'll go Roy just for the sheer fact of I want to see him get sent off and how he reacts to it. Just for my own sheer satisfaction. To be honest, I think he's also my first pick to get sacked as well. I think. So maybe that's going to tie into the same thing. You give me the first one sent off and the first one sacked.
They'll coincide with each other, yeah.
In the same game, like after the same game. He's
Yeah.
been sent off, then he gets sacked an hour later. Oh, brilliant.
That's the reason.
Yeah, I'll go with this one.
We know Steve Bruce won't be able to stand up to get any of those yellows. So
not him. I forgot he was back, you know. So you just start like, you know, now you start to evaluate your football a bit more. So kind of, you know, I didn't switch it off over the summer, but, you know, I was kind of like dipping in and out. And I just remember that Steve Bruce is back in the Premier League. And it's just 2003 or something. I don't know. Ridiculous that he's actually still getting jobs in the Premier League. It is Newcastle, but, you know. Stevie Bruce.
So yeah, that's one of the big rules that we're all you know, now widely aware of because of the card shown to Pep. But there are some other rule changes that are going to be implemented, from new handball rules to how players can be during free kicks, and then the one that kind of stood out to me was the subs. And you know, when you're being subbed off, they can't time waste anymore. They have to leave the pitch at the nearest point. And I feel like, wasn't that a change from like the past that they like took away because players walking past like the away stand would get like abuse and stuff? Like, how do you guys feel about some of these new rules? Is there one that like you agree with or you don't agree with that like really hits you in a certain way?
I feel like the time wasting one, especially because we're Liverpool, of course, and we get a lot of clubs time wasting against us. Could definitely be one that benefits us, but to be honest, it just feels like they just change it for the sake of changing it. Sometimes, you know, the handball one, you know, again, what constitutes handball? Now they're going to say, well, if it just hits your arm, it's a penalty. It just seems extremely unlucky. I don't know. I think, as I say, the time wasting one probably the one that benefits Liverpool the most. You don't have to see some slow subs when Liverpool are losing or drawing. I think it was the one at West Ham this year, and the lad took about 4 minutes to get off. I think he's still walking off the ground now, actually. So yeah, you know, I say the time wasting one I'm okay with. I think it wasn't. I think you are right, Hilary. I think it was a rule, but I also think that the referee was getting them also confused because they had the same kit on, of course. They didn't have a bib on, and the referee was kind of getting them confused. I think that's why they changed it. So I'm not sure why they changed it back. It must be just because of the time wasting, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that'd be the same one that stands out to me as most beneficial to us. I just remember the famous Chelsea game, Gerrard slip, just the amount of time wasting going on there. And also, you're seeing it more and more now, but teams are actually using it as a tactic. They have the player, I don't know whether they set it up at halftime or whether something comes over from the bench and just makes his way over to the player, but the player that's supposed to come off will get the farthest away, like right in the corner flag, and then pretend like he's tying a shoe or whatever, and oh, it's me. Oh, I didn't know that. I wasn't looking, and then walk over, and there's 3 or 4 minutes there. So I definitely like that one, but I gotta agree with you, Cozzy, because a lot of this to me seems like just a bunch of guys that make way too much freaking money, and they have to justify their jobs. So they made a bunch of rules that, you know, are really have never been an issue before. I mean, the ball has to leave the 18-yard box. Okay, big deal. Scoring from a goalkeeper throw-in, like, that's never even happened. It's like some of these are just mute points. It's just people justifying how much money they make, essentially.
But Joe, if a keeper scores from his own throw, I think it deserves to count.
That's what I mean.
The poor defending that must go on for a goalie to score from his own throw-in. I think you deserve 2 goals. I think you deserve 2. Just have 2 of them because the defense deserves it. You just conceded off a fucking throw. But it's ridiculous. I think I couldn't agree more. It's men earning way too much money, changing the rules for the sheer fact of justifying it when there's actually serious issues in football that's just not addressing.
Right.
But, you know, it's just, you know, ticker prices for the start, racism also. So, and I just think there's a lot more other things we've got to worry about than a goalkeeper scoring from his own throwing.
Yeah, and then there was a ridiculous one about goal celebrations. Like, you can still get booked even if the goal doesn't count. Like, oh, man.
I like. Do we forget? Right? I think these people forget. I don't think they mustn't follow football. You actually
No,
want it. The
no.
sheer of euphoria that goes through your body when your team scores a goal. It's there's nothing like it. There's nothing that you can prescribe for it. That's why you keep going back to that moment of when, like, the sheer release that you have when your team scores a goal, even when you're losing, like 3-0, and you score to make it 3-1. You just think, right, go ahead. Let the lads celebrate. Oh, he's jumped in the crowd. Can you fucking blame him? He scored a 98-minute winner in a game. All the pressure of playing in a game doesn't matter. He took his shirt off. Wow. If I had a body like his, I'd never wear a shirt.
Right.
So it's just, I don't know, man. I think the celebration one really gets me. It really does. There's no better feeling in the world than for that player at that point to score a goal. There must be no better feeling in the world for them either. So I think for both sets of people that can share that moment, and then it gets, you get your yellow card for taking a shirt off. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
It links the players to the fans too, because when I watch a player just go in absolute euphoria for scoring, that's who I want in my starting 11. Like somebody that when they put the ball in the back of the net wearing the red shirt, it means as much to them as it does to me watching at home. And if they're worried about accumulating too many yellows because of it sort of takes away that fan connection.
Yeah, I love Divock, of course, but it always breaks my heart, in the Champions League final that he just celebrates it like he scored in a pre-season friendly. I'm like, Divock, man, jump in the crowd with them, get a flare out. It's game over. Get your top off and just say, nah, I'm never leaving. This is me. Just like he just celebrates it like it was like, oh yeah, that's what I do. What? This is what I do. Like, mate, this is like the greatest moments of your life, and you've celebrated it like, yeah, okay. Just a little jog to the corner flag. I'm like, oh, Divock, get in the crowd. Come on. Get the beers down here.
So yeah, like the rule changes and like they coincide, like the penalty changes for the keepers with the foot on the line, not being able to touch the goalpost, and then not no movement beforehand. That kind of coincides with VAR too, because that's one of the things that they won't be strictly enforcing with the VAR. It'll be up to the ref on the pitch. But yeah, like, are you looking forward to VAR? Do you think that it's gonna help or hurt us? And what what are your initial thoughts going into this first season with it? Gordon, I'll start with you.
Well, I mean, I think the Bundesliga has done a pretty good job of it, and it's one of those things where you knew they were going to try it anyways, and waiting, I think, was the best thing for the Premier League, just kind of getting the kinks out. And I mean, I don't like it at all, but if it's going to happen, it seemed to have gotten to a point that I could live with. And then we got to this summer where I felt like it was misused in every single summer competition internationally. I mean, everything from AFCON to the Gold Cup to the Common Bowl. I mean, the Women's World Cup, it was overused, it was abused, it was a waste of absolute time. And now I'm back to just completely hating it. And I'm not confident at all. I felt like we could sort of squeak by and, it'd be a couple of weeks before everyone got used to it and we just kind of settle into our own ways. But no, I can't stand it. I'm not looking forward to it at all.
Yeah, I'm with God, to be honest, Phil. I've done a complete 180 on it now. I was all for it at one point. Actually, I was all for it after the City Tottenham game in the Champions League. I went, that's what it's meant to be used for. That moment of it's a key game and a key moment, and that's what it's meant to be used for. And then I watched a bit of the Women's World Cup, and it was a joke, in all honesty. It was meant to be used for clear and obvious errors, but when a girl or a woman is a toe offline, that's not a clear and obvious error. Why was the offside who created was to stop people from goal line and being 15 yards past the defender and just someone kicking the ball up to them and they'll score. That's why it was used. When one of the women is like literally a shoulder offline, a half shoulder on it's just a bit, fucking that, like, it's meant to be clear and obvious errors. and that felt like to me it was just a bit, I'm done a complete 180 on it. In terms of the other thing is as well, you're going to get managers completely changing their tactics, because if it was me and I had someone like Jesus, for example, as the perfect example, he was offside 3 times, I think, when he came on. I think he was only on for like 30 minutes. He was offside 3 times. Because if I'm a manager, I'm going, chance yourself on being on the last man, score, and we'll go to VAR. Don't stop your run and be offside. I'll be going to them. I don't care if you're offside 8 times a game. Because that one time you won't be, we'll go to the camera, you'll be dead on, and you'll score. Do you know what I mean? So if I had a quick striker like that, I'd say go and play right on the last man. I don't care if you're offside. Just score. Just, you know what I mean? Score. And then we'll look at the VAR and we'll find out if you're offside. You know what I mean? Because you get a lot of strikers who will like not stop or say, "Nah, we'll take that chance." But then they will take the chance, thinking, "Well, let's take a chance on VAR." So I think you're going to get a lot of. I think you're going to, if that was me anyway, I think you're going to get a lot of teams completely going with a quick striker and go just be offside 8 times in a game, because that one time you won't be, and you'll score. So I think it could be something that you're definitely going to see a lot of changes. I think the Jesus one, I thought this before that game, and the Jesus yesterday kind of, it was yesterday, kind of, I'm not saying he was doing that, but, he was offside 3 times in 30 minutes, which kind of tells you that, he's kind of been told that, let's take a chance on VAR, let's take a chance on the ref, because you're going to get a lot of linesmen not flagging. You're going to get a lot of linesmen not flagging and go, we'll go to VAR. I can be called wrong, I can be called right. But the problem is, if the linesman raises their flag and they are onside, there's going to be an inquest to say, why did they raise the flag? Why didn't he go to VAR? So I think we're going to see a lot of changes, especially with the tactics of the manager, and especially from the linesman as well.
Yeah, and I also feel like it's probably going to, get into the heads of the players too, because other than the 4 main things that they're supposed to check for those clear and obvious errors, and I think they say like serious incidents that have been missed or something. Goals, penalties, straight reds, and then mistaken identity. They're additionally going to be looking at so players could be punished for simulation. And so that's one of the things that I'm kind of like, well, last season there's a lot of talk about a few, instances with Mo and with Sadio, and so like I feel like that's one place where we could be punished. For situations that like maybe we see a little bit differently, but other people see a certain way. And so like that's my, like, other than the concerns that y'all have brought up, and like the main kind of negatives of VAR, that's kind of like my one concern, is like I don't want that to become a thing for us. And then of course yeah, the high line and just like stuff like that. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm still on the fence about it. I feel like the league is really tentative about it, and I feel like they're not going to go in hard with it. They're kind of like, we're just gonna see. So
I feel like I voice all your concerns really. I just feel it's a bit. What are we using it for? Are we using it to penalise someone being a shoulder offside? It just seems really harsh, being toes offside with this imaginary line that they bring up. It just feels a bit, not tasteless as such. But the penalty situation and again the Salah diving and things. If someone hits you in your car, she goes, okay, it's only a little bump, or do you want to get your cash from the insurance? No matter what, when Salah was going down last season, in my opinion, he was touched, so he's entitled to go down. Now, whether people think that's enough for the penalty or not, I don't think VAR will penalise him for that though. I think they'll penalise him for the full dive. But when he's being touched, they'll go, well, no. You can't. It's very difficult. I think it's a really fine balance that they're going to have to try and get ironed out pretty sharpish.
That's exactly.
Well, I think no matter what they do, it's always going to be subjective with VAR or without VAR. So I mean, it feels like a lose-lose. Yeah,
unless the analytics have some kind of physics built into them. I mean, players like Salah, Mane, the reason they're so good is because they're quick and their pivot points and weight distribution changes rapidly. And so when you're moving at that speed and you kind of have a shifting center of gravity and you're going down with the slightest of touches. So for some big wig and a bow tie, they'd be sitting behind a camera and going, "Oh, that's a dive," or that was unintentional or purpose. I feel like those kind of things, a dive when you see one. I mean, it's pretty obvious. I think the retroactive punishment of dives and things like that are. Hey, I'm just hoping that they don't get out of hand because I can easily see them just going wild with it.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, one of the other things that I wanted to bring up for this pod, because we were in a shootout, was who are your top 5 penalty takers on the team? Who would you have had going up there? All right, I'll go with you, Dave.
You know what? I named all 4. I mean 4 out of 5 before it. I went these are our penalty takers, and I picked Virgil over Wijnaldum. I thought Virgil's definitely taken one. I went, he'll back himself. Of course, he might have been number 6. I don't know, but I think if the whole squad's on the field, you Milner, Salah. I was a big fan of Shaqiri's penalty, to be honest. He looks very calm as well on the ball. Bobby, I don't know if I'd fancy Bobby. I fancy Henderson to take a penalty. I did fancy Virgil, as I say yesterday. I'd also fancy Trent. It's a bad one, to be honest. He's got such great technique. I think I'd probably fancy Trent, but I just don't want to be in them kind of situations again this season, to be honest. Can we just win all games in 90? It was only the Community Shield, and I get it. It would have been lovely to win, but, I was feeling the aches yesterday. I was like, oh, no. And then you think, my God, imagine this was a bigger game. So, yeah, I'm just a bit disappointed that Virgil never got to take one. I really wanted Virgil to step up and see if he is actually calm as you like.
Has he taken any for the Netherlands? I don't know if I've ever seen him take one
for Celtic. I don't know if you've ever seen his free kicks for Celtic. They're unbelievable. He used to take free kicks for Celtic and 25, 30 yard free kicks, and he used to settle and top in. So I don't know. It just looked like he had technique, and I think I thought he would have backed himself, to be honest. But as I say, he might have been number 6. But I also thought Alisson would have got one as well. Funny enough, I mean, one of the lads said in the pub yesterday, they were like, "Well, imagine Alisson taking one." I was like, you know what? I'd back Alisson. He's got the technique, and he's got the, he is the man. So I would have backed Alisson to take one as well.
Yeah, Gordon, what about you? Your top 5?
Well, now that we got Adrian, I mean, he took one. He knocked the Blues out. He knocked Everton out in the FA Cup. It was his. He saved one, then stood up and put the blue side of Merseyside out of the FA Cup back in 2015. So maybe he'd be my number 5. I like Trent. Shaqiri's was solid. I think that Lallana takes a good penalty. I think he's good on the spot as well.
Yeah.
From what I know from Red Bull, I know Navi took a lot of penalties for them. I could see him up there. I think we've got a lot of guys that are super common in the ball, but obviously you want Mane, you want Salah, and you want Milner. That'd be my top 3 for sure in a 5-man shootout. But beyond that, I think we have the tools that we can even make substitutions during games. But I'm with Cozzy. I hate shootouts. I don't want to be there again because, especially in the 2005 Champions League final when we had the shootout, that was a miracle. That was just bonus. There was no pressure. Everyone enjoyed it. We win, we lose, whatever. We came back from 3-0 down in one game in one half, 45 minutes. Played our hearts out from 90 to 120 minutes. That was just icing. But in the game on Sunday, when we should have won the game, I mean, we hit the post 3 times, had a goal line clearance, a goal line technology decision. Those are the ones that you don't want to go to.
That clearance was insane. I mean, just thinking about that clearance makes my back hurt. How did he land and still just be able to get up, keep playing? That's insane.
It's one I think about it at least 3 times a week, 4 times a week. Just like, how's he done that? How's this possible? What's happening right now?
It's
one of
got to
them
be.
kind of moments, isn't it?
It's got to be Walker too. Just someone that you just despise every fiber of his being. It couldn't be like a nice guy like David Silver or something like that. It's got to be Walker. That's the worst part.
I know. It's like and he's also as you can see, he's going a bit thin on top as well, isn't he? It's like he's went, oh, Vincent Kompany's left. I'm going to be the lead ball guy here. Right. I took over the mantle. I'm going to think about that all week. That clearance, unbelievable. Fair play to him.
Margins.
I think the interesting part about the whole game as well. I know we come back to it, but I don't know if you guys seen the reason why Mahrez never got picked for the game. I don't know. He
was on cold medicine or something.
Well, yeah, he said he was given some interesting medicine. I think that's how he worded it, something like that, in Algeria, and he's probably not going to pass the drug test. I thought that was really interesting. That he just come out and say that. You could just say, no, he's got a bit of an injury. No, he's not going to pass the drug test. Wow, okay. But that was I thought that was really interesting, especially for your manager to come out and say, maybe he wants to make it public knowledge to say, hey, we're not trying to hide anything, maybe. But that was really, really
come out in front of it. Yeah.
I don't know about that.
I mean, if he plays a minute this weekend, I would hope that they would pinpoint him for a random drug test. And I say random with quotation.
The most unrandom drug test of all time.
Yeah, exactly. Just a hat.
Riyad.
Yeah, hat full of names with just Riyad Mahrez on it. Oh, look who we got.
Literally, as he's coming off the pitch, and the guy standing there with a tube just shaking the tube on him. Hello, Riyad. What have you been up to?
You knew this was coming.
What was that? You won the African Cup of Nations. Did a bit too much celebrating. Have a little look at this fella. Come
on. Well, Gordon, I'm glad you brought up Adrian because I wanted to touch on today's transfer news. Mignolet out. Yeah. So we have some strong feelings about this.
I can't stop smiling. Listen, Sam, he's a lovely guy. His best ever season for Liverpool was last season. Because I think he played 2 games, and I think he made a mistake in both games, in my opinion. I think he could have done better for the Ruben Neves goal at Wolves in the FA Cup, and I thought he could have done a bit better with the first Chelsea goal, I think, in the League Cup. I can't believe he's been there for 6 years. Horrific that he's been there that long, but I think it's great. Liverpool have banked 7 million on him, and you've got a goalie on a free transfer. He's a good, solid backup. He's also a bit of eye candy, isn't he? Got 2 very handsome goalkeepers at the moment. But I mean, I just think he's a solid goalie. Simon, I wish you well, mate, but you were just never good enough for Liverpool. I might be harsh, I'm sorry, but just never good enough. I just think he gave the defence so many nerves when any time he played. So.
Yep, full agreement. Gordon, your thoughts? Glad to see the back of him for sure. I never felt that he was Liverpool caliber. I think at one point, and I know I share this sentiment with my dad because he just drills it into me, but there was a time, and it started really, I feel like, with the Rodgers appointment, was just like we were starting to be okay with being mediocre, and we bought a lot of mediocre players. Save a little bit of cash, and also you have the excuse of always finishing 7th, 6th place. And I think he was one of those players. I don't think he was ever top 4 caliber. So I definitely appreciated his professionalism. I know that's difficult to do for somebody who's, an international goalie who's had tons of Premier League games under his belt. But yeah, glad to see the back of him. And I do think that we scored real big here. I mean, we made 8 million. So that's always a plus. I think with the amount of Premier League experience it's not just a good goalie, but he does have Premier League experience. And he played for West Ham, so he faced an awful lot of shots. So it's not like he was doing nothing back there for him.
You know what, as well, I actually want to bring this up because it needs to be public knowledge. I thought Mignolet. If you actually look at the Denver Bar goal, when Gerrard slipped. Any other good goalie saves that, It's honestly, if you ever watch it back, people concentrate on the slip. I always say it. I've said it since the day one. Any good goalie saves it. The ball's right at him. It's right. It goes underneath him.
Yep. Yeah, it goes in between his arm and his knee.
It's poor keeping. He's not off his line quick enough for the start as well. And I just think, I'm not blaming him, of course. He made mistakes throughout the season. I think he was poor for City at home. We won the game in the end 3-2 with Coutinho, but he was poor for 2 of their goals. I just think, but that type of bar goal always rings true to me. Always. I always think about it and think. I look anytime you see it on like a GIF or something like that, I always look and go, "He's got to do better. You have to." But it's just got to be public knowledge for me. If I know people don't really like reliving that experience, but if it ever comes across, as I say, in a GIF or something like that, just have a little look again. It's poor keeping, in my opinion. But as I say, he's a lovely guy. I'm sure he's brilliant. Players love him. The manager loves him. So, listen, Sam, I wish you well, mate. But we've moved on. No one's ever won trophies with shit goalkeepers. I'm sorry. And whether you look at dominating sides for years. Peter Schmeichel's one of the greatest keepers of all time, mate, and that's why they won trophies. And David Seaman and Pepe Reina was a great keeper who won the FA Cup. And Alisson, of course. Now no one wins trophies with shit keepers. This just doesn't happen. Eventually they get found out and they cost you 8 to 10 points a season. And unfortunately, Simon cost us probably 8 to 12 points on average a season. So
I think you're being generous there.
I'm trying to, what? It probably did cost us more, but I mean, I look at, as I say, his debut was a perfect debut. You couldn't ask for a better debut.
Yeah.
He saved a penalty on debut. He actually made one of the best saves I think I've seen at Stoke away a couple of years ago. He done a double save, and it was unbelievable.
He was great shot stopper. He was really good with PKs, but other than that, his positioning was god awful, and his like 18-yard box presence was crap. I mean, I remember being terrified for corners or free kicks within 25 yards because he never came out. We were always susceptible, and then playing man-to-man defense on set pieces just killed us time and time again. We were the worst in the league, and not good enough.
I think this fucking to settle the argument, right? I heard this last season. Alisson and Sam Mignolet are the same size. That says it all. They both look like different men. Alisson looks 14 times the size when he's in his box. That's how commanding he is.
Oh yeah.
And they're both the same size and height, which just says it all, really. And again, you don't win trophies with shit keepers. Liverpool lost the Champions League last season because of a shit goalkeeper, and Liverpool won the Champions League this season because we had a phenomenal goalkeeper who, in the final, performed in the final. So.
All right.
Can we just sign someone properly now? Can we just sign someone? Anyone? You know what I mean?
That's going into my final topic. Actually, I wanted to have you predict, are we doing any deadline day deals? Because the next podcast is going to be recorded after deadline day is over on Thursday. So we'll be able to talk about it. Do y'all have any predictions? Will we or won't we have a last minute signing?
I've got one prediction which is stuck with me, and I don't know why. And if you ask me seriously, I'll say no, we're never signing anyone. But I have a weird feeling about Coutinho on loan. I just don't know why, and there's no logistical reason behind it why. I think he might do it if the opportunity comes on the last day. I think they'll offer Coutinho on loan.
They offered him for like what, 25 million on loan for a year and they're supposedly in talks with an English club, but everyone was saying it was Arsenal over the weekend.
I think I listen. They say this. They say they're offering us 25 million, right? But they still owe us 80 odd million from the actual original transfer. So it's getting, it's going to be getting to the stage where Liverpool go, listen, we're going to take him for the season, and then if we want to keep him, we'll just write the money off that you owe us. How's that? I think it's going to get to something stupid like that because it's quite clear that he's not wanted. They want the Neymar deal. They've got to keep up with the financial fair play, especially with wages as well. So I can half see it. I can see why you would do it as well. But if you ask me, what my head's thinking we're not signing anyone. And if these fans, so-called fans, on Twitter and Facebook and things, are getting, we should definitely sign someone in that. Let's look at the teams who are actually signing people. So look at, United with Harry Maguire, he wouldn't get in our starting 11. That's a fact. So let's look at Ndombele from Spurs, would not get in our starting 11. So when you are the European champions, you don't need to sign many players. And I also trust Klopp unconditionally. So, but yeah, if you had to ask me, I'd say it's going to be Coutinho, I think, on loan.
Yeah, I think that I think we need somebody, but honestly, the work that the backroom staff and Klopp have done, not only in targeting players but going after the right ones time and time again over his course of being here, I've got full confidence. So I'm not losing sleep over. I'd like to see somebody. It worries me a little bit, still not having like a good replacement for like a like for like, but honestly, maybe we don't need a like for like. Maybe we have all the pieces that we need, and all we need to do is figure out how to set up without a Salah or Mane or Firmino in the side, and that's all it takes is just kind of a formation change and not so much a like for like. I think that we've got a good bench. I think this is the deepest bench we've had in quite some time. So, and when you bring a big name in, you run the risk of unsettling everything. If a bigger player usually brings an ego, then you've got other players like looking over their shoulders. Players that were just signed last year are now thinking, "Oh, I just went down the totem pole." So I think we've got the bench right now is sort of comfortable. I don't like to say that about professionals, but I think the bench now is comfortable knowing that they're bench players.
Yeah.
They're not first team caliber, top 4 caliber players, and they're comfortable coming off the bench. And I don't think you disrupt that. I think that right now it's working for us. I mean, we made the Champions League final. I mean, we lost the Premier League by 1.1 centimeters or whatever the hell it was. I don't think that you disrupt that rhythm. I think that Klopp sort of sees where Tottenham have come from and trying to build on the same thing, just keeping everybody that we got and moving forward. I mean, we've got such a young team too. That's something that no one's really talking about is you really need to sign players when no one is aging. I mean, well, no one's getting into the twilight of their career. I mean, we had Sturridge and we dropped an enormous amount off of our wages when we let go of him. And he was really the aging player back there. So I think I would like to see somebody. My heart would like to see somebody, but I think we're good.
Yeah, I think it's very difficult as well because when you look at the squad, and I hate saying he's like a new signing, but you look at Oxley Chamberlain, didn't play last year, let's be fair. And then you look at Keita, looks like he's come back. Looks like he's put 40 pounds on in muscle. I've seen him a photo of him in training, he looked unbelievable. And then you look at Lallana, again, can you keep him fit? There's also a very, very fine line that Jurgen's treading. And it's that you promised Brewster games. Brewster would never have signed that contract if we didn't promise him games. So you go out and you throw your 60 mil. Because I know that's most people what they want. They want a backup for Firmino. And I understand that argument completely. But you promised this kid games. If you go and sign, for example, a Timo Werner, when's Brewster getting his games? I think the other part of this argument is with Brewster is the Harry Wilson argument. No one's paid the money that he wants for Harry Wilson, which is around the £25 million mark, $30 million. So maybe he's looked at him in pre-season and went, you know what? I can get 15 games out of him. I can get him. I think I can get at least 10 starts out of Harry Wilson plus the cups. Because that's Liverpool are fighting now we've got 6 trophies to play for. We do have to go to wait to fucking Abu Dhabi or somewhere or Dubai in the middle of December before the busiest running of the Premier League season to go and play in the Club World Cup. Maybe he's looking at Brewster, who's happy, not sitting on the bench as such, but happy knowing he's got to wait and buy this time for his chance. And he's doing the same with Harry Wilson. A bit like what you just touched on there. So maybe he's looking at that. So I just all think it's all very much in the narrative of what Liverpool have got and what Liverpool need. So I'm absolutely fine if you don't sign anyone. as I say, I think the Coutinho one's more of my heart than my head. But I'm more than happy if Liverpool just started the season with no signings.
Yeah, I'm pretty much resigned to the fact that we will not have a signing, and I'm okay with it. Like you said, I think that Keita and Ox coming back into the squad off those injuries, it's gonna have this new infusion of kind of competing for those spots. And also, I know Ox isn't, he's come out and said that he's not, at 100%. And I feel like it's going to be, I'm hoping that it's going to be like his first season with us, where he just, is relatively more quiet for the first couple of weeks, maybe like 2 months, and then like he just explodes out in those games and becomes such an integral part of that forward moving force that we have. So to me, it's like a new signing already, just that he's back. So that's like what I'm hoping for. I don't need new blood, I guess. But yeah, y'all have any final thoughts about any of the topics that we went over?
No, I'm all good on my side, guys.
I think we sign Suarez for one game just so he can put 5 past Norwich and then send him packing.
Right there, no one there looks Salah score 5 and they go, for fuck's sake, can't get rid of them. There's only someone.
Gotta get started early on that goal differential, guys. Yep, I brought it up.
Oh, here we go.
Never letting it go.
Never letting go of goals.
I mean, for some people, I feel like it still is very much, in their heads that this is a even with all the other teams making signings and stuff, commentators and pundits and even other team supporters want to say like, oh, it's still a 2-horse race between us and City. And I mean, it just, I hate hearing that. But yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
I think it will be, because I think that some of the moves that Everton made last year and some of the moves they're making in the off season, I think that you've got a real scrap for those third through 7th, really. I mean, if Wolves can, I can't see them handling the European stress with the fixtures, but I think Leicester would be in there. I think that if Wolves can handle the stress, they'll be back in there. We've got Arsenal, Chelsea, United, Tottenham, and possibly Everton. I think that they're going to take so many points off of each other. I think that we'll just be able to slip through. I still think it's going to be a 2-horse race. I can't see any of those teams really challenging either of us.
I think if any one of them teams finish 15 points closer to Liverpool or City, I think they've done really well. And that's no disrespect, but if you look for the whole, literally all their squads, I'm talking Spurs, United, Everton, Everton, Leicester, and all that. Not one player gets one of their squads. Like literally, and not squads, maybe starting 11. Of course, like Hong Ming's son will be on the bench at Liverpool and things, but wouldn't start for Liverpool. And I just think, we are so far ahead, and you can tell we're so far ahead. I know Pochettino looks like he's already making noise about that. He's not happy with the players that are coming in and things. So, as I say, if they finish it within 15 points of Liverpool, I think they've done really, really well.
Well, there's definitely going to be some topics that we'll probably get more into on Thursday for our season predictions and the preview of the game on Friday. So thank y'all for joining me. We had some good review of the game and talking about the VAR and everything, but those are going to be the topics for the next podcast. So tune in, and we'll see y'all on the flip side.
Awesome, guys. See you later.
Excellent. Thanks.
Bye.